are perhaps specifically LGBT that can sort of engage with those students, I think. So maybe an LGBT rep, I'm not sure. It could be something that's instituted.
Thank you. Let's go to Libby and then we'll go to Padma.
You mentioned lag culture and how that affects students. What would you like to do to tackle this?
I think one of the main things we can do is campaign and educate, because obviously it's a bad thing not just for LGBT students but for a lot of student categories. I think education and campaigning are one of the main things. Explain to these people that it's not acceptable for some people. You might think it's funny, you might think it's cool and whatever word you want to use, but for some people it's quite intimidating and quite offensive. So I think campaigning and education would be the main ones.
Thanks, Gavin. And was there a question at the back still? Yep. Let's go to Paddy. Run, glamorous assistant, run.
With regards to sports, do you think there's any restrictions or problems that LGBT community face with regards to participating in sport? And what would you kind of do to implement that if you think so?
I think I know about specific sports like football and rugby where they're quite masculine sports, so some people are put off by them. I think just working with those sports, working with the teams, the departments that run them, to sort of explain to LGBT people that they will be accepted and that people would love to have them if they can play the sport and they're good at it.
Thank you. Any more questions for Gavin? I think we'll leave. Oh, no, there we go. I'll go to this young lady over here, Liz. Sorry, she got there before you.
Hi, as a current member of the LGBT community, biphobia and transphobia is quite prevalent. Is there anything that you do to tackle that?
I think definitely, as I've mentioned a couple of times, campaigning and education are quite important in tackling these issues. Biphobia is now becoming sort of the main headline phobia for the LGBT community that they face regularly out in the world, as well as transphobia, which has been prevalent throughout our history. I think campaigning with the union, with society, making sure that we get the word out that it's not accepted, it's wrong, and also education with.
Oh, sorry, Gavin.
That's all right.
Go on then, Liz. You've got your question next.
Obviously, there's the LGBT officer, but then also you've mentioned Pride, the society. How do you see the president of Pride working with the LGBT officer?
Well, as I've said in my manifesto, I want to sort of merge the two. So the LGBT officer would merge with the president, and they'd sort of both be an arm of the union that can work better and engage better with the LGBT community.
Brilliant, thank you. And I've got one that's coming off the Twitter feed. LGBT need more representation. How would you work with other executive officers to solve this?
So with welfare, obviously, that's sort of the main officer that everyone works with. With education, it would be promoting LGBT students within courses and the university itself. With sports, it's increasing LGBT engagement in sporting activities. Services, I'd have to think about it. I'm not sure yet. Sorry.
That's good. Brilliant. Thank you ever so much. I think that will be doing for. That'll be doing. Thank you, Gavin. That's one of our first student officers to come and take the stage. Next up, could I invite the city liaison officers, please? My favourite. People like putting in like three things. Oh, I need to get my city questions. I've not got them. Okay, welcome candidates. You've got 30 seconds. We'll start with Alex, and we'll say when you've got time.
Hey everyone, I'm Alex and I'm running for City Liaison. Basically, I want to improve the way that this building is used. I want it to make it easier for people to use. I'd also like to put sports games on so people can come in here rather than going to pubs and stuff around the site. I'd also like to work with VP Sports to sort out how the gym is used during the weekend, because I know it's gone for as a big idea. And I'd also like to lobby the university to put more cash machines around the campus.
Perfect. Thank you ever so much, Alex. Disan. Yeah, let's get some support going. You can come down and take a seat, guys, if you want to ask questions too. Yeah? Oh, you want to eat? Okay, no worries. Go on then, Disan, when you're ready. 30 seconds.
Distinguished students, protocol observed. I'm Disan Butera, BA Youth Justice. I'm standing for State Liaison Officer for Advocacy, Respect, Love, and Security. Thank you very much for your attention and coming here.
Thank you, Disan. Okay, I can open the floor to questions for Liaison Officer, Cap City Liaison Officer. Anyone? No? I thought you were just pointing at people then, Liz. You! Ask a question. Okay, so what experience do you have that makes you feel like you'll be the best candidate for this role? We'll start with Alexia.
I was head of halls for my first year, and I'm also on the RAG committee this year, so I'm quite good at organising stuff. We did stuff in halls last year. I did loads of stuff for charity, and I've worked with the exec while being on the RAG committee and head of halls.
Thank you. Disan, when you're ready.
Anyway, as my points say, advocacy, you know, security, love, and respect. Of course, working with our security, which is at the state campus, I think it will try to make all things work hand in hand together with fellow students, staff, and non-staff teaching staff. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Disan. Brilliant. Any questions from anyone? Oh yes, we've got two. One.
Hello. This year, students in Byron, the new halls above here, have had a lot of problems with like building work and living above Climax. They can obviously hear Climax. How would you work alongside UPP to make sure that freshers coming into halls next year have, you know, not a disrupted experience?
Okay, Alex, you can go when you're first.
I lived in Sandby last year, and it was the most annoying thing for the noise. Building works were going on all the time, like 8 in the morning. Obviously, there's not much you can do about the building works because they're going to be finished soon, hopefully. And then Climax, you just sort of, you're going to have to get people outside, let them know they have to keep the noise down. But if people are going to be loud, then they're going to be loud. And it's just trying to keep the noise down rather than, yeah.
Thank you. Disan?
Anyway, I'm sticking to the point of security. That is working hand in hand with our security, which is at the state campus, so that such kind of problems will be solved. Otherwise, I could not manage it alone without the efforts of our security at the state campus and our fellow candidates who will be working with, that is the cabinet of the students.
Thank you ever so much, candidates. Did I see another question at the back, or were you just stretching, Marcus? You're just stretching, okay. No worries. One last question then. In Freshers Week, you work alongside the exec to coordinate Freshers Week with the fresher reps. How do you think you can manage the stressful week that will be inevitable, that is Freshers Week, at a level such as the exec level, as opposed to just being a fresher rep? Yeah, you can go first.
I was deputy head of a halls this year, and it was really hard. I think it's just sort of working with the head reps and stuff like that. So if you've got a good rapport with those, and then you should be all right to help them if they need it, and they know they can come to you if they need help and whatever.
Disan?
That will be, of course, I'll be working hand in hand with the welfare and community VP, that is the vice president, and then the activities president, vice president, as well as, of course, the cabinet of the guild the guild office.
Fantastic. Brilliant. Thank you, Disan. Okay, I've got one last question, or do I see any from the floor? Oh, I've got two. Ah, fantastic. We'll go to the gentleman at the front.
There was a question before about the disruption caused by the building works, but largely when we were talking about this, as fresh reps for upstairs, they were talking a lot about the contention between the building industry and the university. I think this is something which you necessarily can't solve with one option. So what would you, with one officer, sorry. So what would you do to work with the local community and those factors, those informal actors, and obviously the president, to solve issues like that in the future?
Can you just repeat the question for them?
Basically, it's more complicated than just saying to the building works, be quiet. You kind of have to be much more able to work with the local community on that. So what would you do to make working with the local community easier?
That makes sense.
I think that if building work's going on, it's going to go on. People know it's going to be noisy. You just have to let people know what times it's going to happen. Obviously, it's not going to happen during the evening. It just happens early in the morning. You just need to make sure people know when it's happening. Work with like the university and like UPP to make sure they send emails around to everyone that's there. And yeah.
Thank you.
On my side, signposting is very important. For instance, where is this? Where is this? Which direction and where? For instance, I'll be trying to use the what we call publication. For instance, of course, myself, you can see that 24 tell this and that's me. Here, this and that. So publication will be a key in respect to that.
Brilliant. Thank you, Disan. Let's see another question. Yep. Yeah. Liz is casually making her way to you as and when she feels.
I think a lot of people could agree with me that Brackenhurst and Clifton both have a lot of tight-knit communities because they're both on small campuses. What would you propose to do to kind of bring the community together as a university on this campus?
I think that like second and third years especially need to know that the SU is here, like, because obviously it hasn't been here for the past few years. They've just gone elsewhere. So they need to this needs to be more of a hub for people to come to automatically. And that's why I've suggested you put sports games on in here so people come here and watch them rather than go to, say, like the Horn and watch it in there.
You know, on my side, we have rules. We have rules which are governing us. And for instance, of course, we have rules at our cabinet. So I'll be working hand in hand with the president in order to solve such kind of a problem. Yeah.
Thank you, candidates. Did I see any more questions? No? Okay, I'll go for one last question then. If you could be any animal, what animal would you be and why?
My friend asked me this the other day, and the first thing that came to my head was a snail. And I don't really know why, but I think it's because they've got little hard outer shell, but they're nice and squishy on the inside.
I'll say chameleon because the chameleon changes colors. Now, if you look at my manifesto, you can see a photo. I'm having a pink T-shirt. Now I'm having a different one with suspenders on. When you look at this prayer, it's having different colors, and as well as the manifesto as well. So I take the chameleon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Brilliant. Okay, I think they're all the questions that we have for our City Liaison Officer candidates. Give them a big round of applause for warming up the stage. Thank you ever so much, guys. No idea. What? Oh, okay. Next people. Could I now ask for the disabled student officers to come to the stage? Where did that come from? Oh, there. Hey, Graham. Brilliant. Thank you ever so much. So, 30 seconds each. Let's start with Jack first, and why you'll be a good disabled students officer.
Hi, I'm Jack Warren, and I'm going for the disabled students officer position because I feel like there isn't enough done for disabled students currently in terms of sport activities, and I think we can make that sort of a closer-knit group and start to engage a lot more with that. Similarly, I've got a good experience of disability. I was disabled for 5 years, played at a very high level wheelchair basketball, been all over the world, so I know exactly what is needed to help the disabled community.
Hi, I'm Graham. I'm registered blind with a small amount of sight, so I know the impact that a disability can have on a person. I went to the RNIB College in Loughborough for a couple of years, and for one of those years I was the VP there, so I got to help out a lot of different types of disabilities and get sort of some experience through that of the different types of disabilities there are. I definitely want to help out with adapting societies and sports in order to integrate disabled people more into them and obviously help towards like education.
Sorry, Graham. Oh, yeah, there we go. Libby.
Many people don't class themselves as disabled, so would you try reaching out to them, or would you not bother? Basically.
Yeah, go first. Yeah.
Themselves as disabled, and I think that's completely fine. I don't think there's an absolute issue with that. Of course, we will be targeting people with more invisible disabilities as well as those that are physically disabled that you can see. It would be nice to get them involved in different sports and different activities, but until we know about those sort of people and where they are, we can't do that much. But it'd definitely be a plan of mine to find those people, and if they would like help, then of course we'd offer them help.
I think it's more just a way of finding strategies to let those people, even if they don't want to sort of class themselves as disabled as such, like finding a way where they could maybe integrate with the disabled students officer to like giving views themselves anyway of things that they would like changed or things that they would think would be able to help. So one such way that I was thinking about was maybe, I know there's a wellbeing room at Clifton, maybe like having sessions such as in there that like people could drop in and like just things like that.
Thanks, Graham. Fantastic. I see another question behind you, Liz.
No questions left. Do you think it's important for non-disabled students to participate in disabled sports in order to understand disabilities more?
Personally, I feel that's very important. I would like to get a lot more able-bodied people in disability sport. However, it's not always as simple as just making them do it. You've got to kind of appeal to them as well. I know, for instance, wheelchair basketball is incredibly inclusive, having both disabled people and able-bodied people play. A lot of it, I think, is advertising and campaigning and showing people that the disability sport is out there, and if they want to play, they are absolutely more than welcome. For some people, it's understanding that disability sport isn't just for disabled people.
With being registered blind but having a small amount of sight, I've actually done that myself in terms of there's a sport called goalball where if you've got a bit of sight, you have to be blindfolded, and that was completely difficult for me because of not having the experience of trying it without the full sight. I think it just gets people more used to the disabilities in general, so I think that is a way of getting people to understand disabilities more. So if that could be advertised a lot more and get more of those types of sports at the uni, such as goalball, wheelchair basketball. I think that would be brilliant.
Great. Did I see another question on the floor before I ran away? Yeah, behind the computer, sorry.
Hi. Okay, so when I was repping, I had 2 students who were disabled, and we had absolutely no training what to do to help them, and we were in the SU and they couldn't join in. So what would you do to prevent that happening in the future?
Really good question.
When I was in Freshers earlier this year, I was actually in a wheelchair myself, and I understand that the reps didn't really know much about disability, and I think that would have to be in their training. They'd have to know how to deal with different disabilities, and it's really not hard to teach reps how to deal with that. I definitely think that it's just going to be a case of training them and making them understand. Like I said, it's really not difficult to educate people on disability, and as soon as that's done, I don't think wouldn't be many more problems at all.
Yeah, I definitely think that there needs to be the training in place there, but I think it can be difficult at times because of the previous question earlier about that some people might not want to declare themselves and things like that as well. So it's like the training on all the different types of disabilities, maybe not just the physical ones, but maybe the mental health issues that people might not want to declare and things like that. And I think if there's a good interconnectivity between the student officer role and the execs, I think that training could be well put in place.
Thank you, Graham. Okay, we've had a question come through on Twitter. How do you plan to support students with mental health difficulties? Okay.
I think it's pretty simple. We can have the drop-in sessions. People with mental health difficulties can speak to us. If they don't feel comfortable speaking to us, they can drop us a question in an email. But until we actually know they are there isn't much we can do. I mean, I wish there was more we could do, but as soon as we find out that they're there, we'll be offering them any support they needed, whatever they needed, 24/7. Knowing people with mental health difficulties myself, I know it can be very, very difficult to reach out to them, but as soon as we realise...
Sorry, Jen. I don't like saying.
Yeah, this is a point I've really wanted to make clear about the different types of disabilities and things. I think for mental health especially, awareness campaigns about these sort of disabilities are really important to let people know the problems that these people can be going through, and just to get support generally around the uni in terms of these things. What I was suggesting about the wellbeing room, in terms of drop-in session, things like that, I think just little things might help to improve that sort of thing around the uni.
Brilliant. Thank you ever so much. I see another question. Where's my glamorous assistant? There you are.
This might be a little bit on the spot, but do any of you have a specific idea for maybe a campaign for raising awareness for disabilities?
I wouldn't say a specific idea as such. Honestly, I believe that disability sport is the best way to raise awareness of disability. If you can get able-bodied people to come and play sport with disabled people, they naturally just understand the difficulties that they're faced. And I mean, when I first started playing wheelchair basketball, it made me instantly realise what kind of disabilities were out there and the breadth and width of disabilities out there. So I think that's the main campaign will be to get more people involved in disabled sport, wheelchair sport, alongside disabled people.
I think in terms of campaigns, I wouldn't have a set sort of structure either. I think it would be more working towards the type of disability you're looking for, because obviously if it's a physical disability such as wheelchairs, like wheelchair basketball, get people included in that. If it's for more mental health problems, maybe leaflets and things to explain about that type of disability, because of course people might not realise that mental health is a type of disability. So just to get that sort of more focused on at the uni.
Thank you, Graham. And Jack. Keep saying Graham. Does there any more questions from the audience? So, yep. Where's Glamorous? There you go.
So you both mentioned sport quite a bit when you've been talking about what you would do for the disabled community. Do you feel that sport is the most important thing that you could be involved in when you're doing this job?
I would definitely say it's an important thing. However, I'm quite aware that some disabled people might not be interested in sport. So whilst I do think it is quite important, I think there's a lot more we could be doing as well, such as just one-to-one support or activities as opposed to sport, such as a disabled marathon, or, well, maybe not a disabled marathon, but, you know, disabled activities of a sort that I'd have to go away and think about.
I think disabled sport is a great outlet for getting people to be more aware of these type of things, such as the taster sessions, for instance, will get people more involved. However, I don't think that should be the main focus of the DSO. I think the main focus of the DSO should be making people feel more comfortable here in the normal lives, but also in the studies as well, making sure that everything is working fine for that student at the university, in study, sport, societies, with the flat, anything like that.
Fantastic. Is that another question at the front? Come on, Glamorous.
You're right. You keep mentioning the disabled sports and how you should utilise it. Do you feel that including it in Saturday Antics would be a good media to get it introduced?
I had actually already thought about this, and yeah, I think it would be a very good thing to have it involved in Saturday Antics, along with maybe a representative from the disabled sport. What sports we had at Saturday Antics would be discussed, but yeah, it would really would be part of my agenda to get something like that at Saturday Antics.
Yeah, I think that would be a really important way of getting things such as taster sessions in on that day to make sure that people know that they're available. I know there's a group in Nottingham called My Sight who does sporting activities. Maybe get them to come in for a day and provide the taster sessions then for people with eyesight disabilities. Obviously, the wheelchair basketball's already going on. Any sort of sports for disabled like that, I think, would be great for that day itself. But obviously for the rest of the year as well.
Fantastic. Do we have any more questions for our disabled students officers? Fantastic. I think then you're done. No more grilling for now. Maybe in a little bit later. Thank you ever so much. And give her a round of applause. I keep going to say gentlemen. I've got to stop saying it. Next up is one of our most contested categories, President.
Trent's given me so much already. It's time for me to really give back. What better way is there to do that than to become the president? Remember, practice makes perfect.
Cool, you settled? Yep. You ready? You've got 30 seconds. Whenever you're ready.
Hi guys, I'm Patches. I'm running for the role of president. I've been on the exec for 2 years already as a part-time officer over in Clifton, so I've had experience of working with a small representative of the entire population of students at Trent. And then this year I've been VP Services, a very successful year, as evident by the amount of people now running for services, which is pleasing to me. I'd really like to make that progression onto president. I've already been setting myself up for the position this year. Serious? Holy shit. Sorry, I didn't mean to swear, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Does anyone have any questions? Libby.
Here we go.
Hi,
Libby.
Hi, Patches.
Hi.
Is your employment agency going to cater for placements as well as part-time jobs?
Okay. I'm not 100% sure on that yet. That's something that can be discussed with the incoming employment agency coordinator, as well as, am I allowed to name drop? Am I allowed to say that? The current membership services manager, who is kind of overseeing this development already. It's something that I basically work with them to look at every opportunity available for all of our students. I think the main thing would be part-time positions during their studies.
Time.
God damn.
Remember, we are live, Marcus.
Sorry, yeah, I am sorry.
What do you think is your least successful venture, and how do you think you could learn from it? What do you think was your least successful kind of venture this past year that you could learn from?
This year. One thing that I tried to implement during Freshers Week, alongside the current VP Education and the current VP Welfare, was the introduction of Milo reps, so network reps, who had a specific task of going out to local students. I myself, I'm a local student. I lived in Nottingham during my Freshers Week. I didn't have a very good one, so one thing I wanted to implement was reps going out to the local areas, so the local towns around Nottingham. It didn't go as well as planned, so I think it will get better next year.
Apart from your employment agency, what's not happening in the SU building that needs to happen next year?
Okay, something that is currently here, but it's not publicised as though it's here, is the Student Advice Centre. How many of you guys could tell me where it is right now and you're sitting in the building where it is? Yeah, a handful. It's making sure that the facilities that we have already are well publicised, making sure that everyone knows what's going on and what advice they can get here in the SU, because we have some good advice to give.
That was within time.
Yeah.
Okay, so earlier this year, me and Joe sat in a meeting to discuss a big cut that was made to scholarship funding. It was a massive cut, not down to uni's fault, and we had to put a fight up on the spot to keep bursaries, which we were lucky. In the next year, they're expecting further cuts, so there's going to have to be a bigger fight to keep hold of bursaries. What would your top reasons be to keep them?
My first point of call would be going to yourself and Joe to learn about how you dealt with that situation in the past. So obviously you can't know where you're going without knowing where you've been, kind of thing. I would then go and speak to any students that would affect. Okay.
Just use it. Oh, we were put on the spot, so there wasn't time to leave the meeting and go and do anything.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. So obviously my first thing would be to learn about that from you guys right now. It's not happening right now, so I'd come to you as the current VP Services, hoping to be the president, to learn about how you dealt with it. Yeah. And then it's a case of just thinking of the spot. There's been many times where I've had to do that kind of thing. Freshers Week, for example, there were so many hiccups that would happen, and it'd be a case of thinking on the spot, making a logical choice, and speaking to the right people at the right time. So if it's a short time frame, speaking to the right people, the pro-vice chancellors, for example, they're the ones that know.
Time.
On the spot right now, what are your reasons?
Is that what you mean? Okay. Okay. Personally, I struggled financially in my first year, which is why I lived at home. So I know the struggles. So it would mainly be the fact that someone's student experience is not going to be what it should be while they're here at Trent. So that would not be right. It'd be what I'd fight for, and I can then draw on my own experience for it. Okay, sorry for beating around the bush. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you. I was waiting for Libby to put her hand up again there. No, I've got one on Twitter. You'll have to wait. Okay, so from the Twitter feed, Patches, what do you think you can bring to the role that your other candidates can't?
An actual person, like someone that can talk, not a figment of anyone's imagination.
Okay.
Solid question. Well,
Down at the front.
There's been a lot of talk of the idea of no platforming people that have homophobic or racist views, particularly in politics and stuff like that. When it comes to like the rise of parties like UKIP, what would be your policy towards no platform? And do you think no platform is the best way forward for democracy and general growth of ideas?
Yeah, in certain circumstances, yeah, definitely. You don't want to offend anyone. We have to remember that there's 26,000 students here at Trent. If any of them get offended, it's about making sure that that doesn't happen. So if it's a case of outrageous views or whatever it might be on a certain policy, then yeah, definitely no platform for a certain organisation or representation. But then that would be something we can discuss as an exec, along with the student officers that we have, just making sure that the student voice is heard before making any kind of decision.
So, would that be incorporated into our current no-platform policy that we hold?
Yeah, that's why I said it.
Okay.
Just using what I know.
Go on then, Jedi.
Hello. How hard would you find it to not intervene in the role of the next year's VP Services, with it being your experience in the current exec?
Okay, I'm going through a similar thing myself with the current president, anticipating that I will get the role. So it's just about making sure that I talk to whoever is the successful VP Services, making sure that I understand their views and what they want to do and what they want to achieve, making sure that I can use my experience and inform them of any decisions that they want to make. But then if it's on a case of I want to do this on my own, fair enough, it's your choice. But the role of president is to oversee the exec, so I would still have a helping hand.
Brilliant. Liz?
So some student unions don't have a president. Obviously, you've run uncontested. Do you think there's a need for a president at Trent?
Good question, Liz. I feel as though I am the right candidate for the job, which is why, say if anyone else thought, okay, I might go for president, it was a decision that I've made quite a while ago. People know about that. So they know that my experience, my characteristics, my strengths and even weaknesses lend me well to being president, especially my experience. So having an overseer of a completely new exec, maybe, sorry, Paddy, it's making sure that the new team...
Time.
30 seconds.
Okay, we've got a question from Twitter, and it comes in two parts, so bear with me. First part, how do you plan to go about educating students on why it is important for them to vote, and how you educate students about the different policies from different parties so students can make informed decisions?
Can I take them as two separate?
Yeah, you can take them two separate. So first part, how do you go about planning, educating students on why it's important for them to vote?
When I was running for Clifton Liaison 2 years ago, there wasn't an awful lot I knew about the policies and the ins and outs of being on the exec. Why is everyone... Right. My first answer was always to them that good representation at their union, it leads them to better employment opportunities later on in life. If someone sees that you went to Nottingham Trent and the reputation of the union is very strong, and that comes down to... Don't make me laugh, please.
You need to concentrate.
Not
Second
you.
part, how will you educate students about the different policies from different parties so students can make informed decisions? I'm guessing this is parties in terms of general elections as opposed to our elections.
Okay, I've already gone and spoken to a number of candidates over at University of Nottingham who are running for president, and this is something we've kind of mentioned to each other about making sure that Nottingham students have a voice in the general elections. So it will be making sure that any issues that are brought about from any party regarding student life, student experience, student finances, anything like that, making sure that that's very, very clear to all our students, because they're the things that will affect us the most. So it's making sure that everyone knows all of those.
Thank you, Marcus. Let's give him a bit of a round of applause. Sorry, we're just drilling questions at you.
It's fine.
Okay, we've got another one that's come through on Twitter. If you had to cut exec and get rid of one exec position, what one would it be?
Okay. Given the restructure that we've just had, I do feel as though it would be the VP community role. The only reason being that it's a very, very difficult role to have, as it was, as the welfare. You have to deal with a lot of issues that you really shouldn't do just as a student coming out into an elected role. It's very much something that professional, educated people should have. They can have training on certain agenda items, for example. now as the community is something that any kind of the president could take on, going and speaking to different representatives of different organisations around the local area and
Time.
nationally? Yeah, that's not a very nice question.
It had to be done.
Yeah, it did have to be done, yeah.
Okay, another question. We've got a change of a Vice-Chancellor coming in. How do you think you'll be able to manage that transition when usually that's quite a high risk for the union because we don't know where we'll sit in the new Vice-Chancellor's agenda? So what do you think you can do to make sure that there's a positive transition with the new VC?
Okay, I'm already planning on speaking to the current president about recommendations from what kind of introductions they gave to the current kind of SMT and the senior management team of the university and the vice chancellors and the chancellor, for example. So it's knowing what has happened before, like I said earlier, understanding how I can then use that into a new situation that no one's tried before. There's been many instances where I've had a certain policy on something, I've had to go and meet a new person within this role already, and it's making sure that... God.
Sorry. Livy.
I need like a minute for everything. This is ridiculous.
30 seconds.
As you know, you'll be having to go to academic board and doing periodic school reviews. So what experience with the education fund will you have that you can bring to President?
Okay, in the current role that I sit in, not a lot. When I knew that I was running for the role of President, I actively went and spoke to the current VP Education, IEU, to talk about what the academic board is, what the policies are, how they are so different to the meetings that I'm usually in regarding entertainment. And it's making sure that I speak to you again in the run-up to taking on the role, if I get it, as well as the former education current president, making sure that I just get all the knowledge that I can, soak it up while I can.
Thank you. See another question? This is fun.
At the last big idea meeting, the gender equality officer was voted in. Is there anything that you do to make sure when that role becomes available for people to go up to, that there'll be representation for the trans community as well as just male and female?
Yeah. The first thing that needs to happen is the training for that that role. That first comes down to the current exec as well as the staff members that we have dedicated to that. So it's about working with them and making sure we get the broad spectrum. It doesn't go back to being women or men as it wanted to be. It's making sure that there is a broad spectrum within the training, and then just keeping in constant touch with that representative, making sure that they know if they have any problems, come to us, come and speak to the people who know what they're talking about.
Time.
Yeah, is that right?
Thank you. Sorry, I have to do it. Another question that we've got, well, I've got lots of questions for you. Do you feel that you can build relationships within the community when there are over 2,000 students that are now in the city centre?
Yeah. As I said, I was a local student myself. I lived at home for my first year. So I know what the experiences are for a local student. I can draw upon my own experience, my knowledge, going to the representatives, i.e. from the council or even the university and the accommodation services, making sure that both my experience is passed on, making sure they know what effects living at home had on me, and then again going to the likes of the university who have dedicated staff members.
Time. Thank you. Do I see any more questions from the audience? Yes.
Do you feel that candidates who are answering Q&As in this election have enough time to properly answer the questions posed to them? And if no, will you be doing something about it if you're elected president?
I don't want to get told off by the current president for saying anything that I shouldn't, but yeah, I personally would like a little bit more time, but I guess I just blab on a little bit maybe. Maybe I could learn to get to the point a bit quicker. So, yeah, tit for tat. Good question.
You've still got 15 seconds.
Oh. Hilarious, Joe, hilarious.
Do I see any more questions? One at the front.
The Vice-Chancellor is set to get a pay rise of £22,000, yet most university staff, in fact all university staff, are expected to take a pay cut in real terms of 2%. This has led to 3 days of strikes and a possible marking boycott this year. What would you do if you were president at the moment to ease those tensions and ease the tensions in the future if there are between the university and university staff?
Well, I would personally be sitting down right now and not standing up, so that would be nice. It's about getting the broad spectrum of things, making sure that you understand all the sides of the arguments, going to the people that it affects, for instance, the staff members who are going on strike. Students have obviously complained already that they are getting seriously affected or concerned by the fact that their marks aren't going to be correct or things aren't going to get marked. And it's going to speaking to the people directly, because I will be the chosen representative of all of you guys.
Time.
Stinger. I would like to know the continuation of that.
Okay. I forgot where I was. What did I say? Where was I?
Strikes.
Okay, it's about going and speaking to the people directly, making sure that they understand our views, i.e. your views, which I'm speaking through, and trying to come to some sort of compromise. There's no reason for someone to get an X amount of increase into pay when other people are suffering. That goes for many, many things within university life. It happens here in the union, it happens in the university, it happens in your own individual lives. Certain people get certain things when they shouldn't.
Time.
So, yeah. Don't ask for more continuation, I forgot what I said.
Patches, what's your favourite Pokemon and why?
Okay, my favourite Pokemon was always Charizard. He's a badass. He's a dragon. He can fly. He can shoot fire. And if I remember rightly, in the program, it was either him or Charmeleon, who would always be like a bit of an arrogant Pokemon. Wouldn't really listen to that's not like me at all. Okay, it's not like me. I just like that characteristic. It's quite funny in a Pokemon.
Thank you. Is there any more questions in the front? No? I've got one on Twitter. What do you think currently makes NTU look bad, and how would you change it?
Okay. I'm not necessarily sure whether it makes NTU look bad individually, but the whole existence of lad culture for the student movement as a whole is something that's been brought up by NUS, which is the national governing body, sort of for unions, as it's been brought up here within the exec ourselves. So lad culture as a whole, it needs to be tackled. It needs to be, going on what Gavin said, it needs to be advertised and making sure that people know what it is and how it affects people.
Sorry. Gavin.
Did you want to add anything else?
You lot are so nice to me. Not particularly. I think everyone got what I was trying to say. It's basically making sure that people know what the different strands of lad culture is, because my interpretation of it will be different to everyone else's. So it's making sure that everything that is affected by lad culture and how it affects certain people, making sure that that's advertised and make sure it's widespread, I guess, making sure that people know not to do certain things. Thank you.
Do you have any more questions for Marcus? Good. We'll save the tricky ones for later then.
Oh, you.
Give a round of applause for Marcus. Thank you ever so much. Sorry your challengers couldn't be here. Next up, may I please have a different broad of people? Activities.
As RAC President for the last year, I feel like I've got a really great understanding of how things work in student activities. So if you want to see a better and bigger activities this year, then keep calm and carry on.
If you want your society or RAG event to be better represented by the Students' Union, then don't even think about it. Vote Kristen.
Through my role as Head of Marketing for Fly FM and my role as Social Sec for RAG, I've come to fully understand all the various needs that societies have, and I want to make sure that all your voices are heard.
I'm Kristen, and with my wealth of experience being on the committee of 2 societies and a society executive this year, I think I have a lot to kind of bring to the role, and I just really want to make kind of societies and RAG bigger and better than they already are, and kind of let them know that they can build on what they already have and just bring out the best in their potential with the help of the Students' Union. Thank you.
Rosie.
Hello, I'm the idiot who's walking around in a panda onesie, so please vote for me because it's cute. I've also got a year's experience working in the fundraising marketing department of a charity, so I feel like I'm qualified for this role. I've also got 2 years working on a committee and a wealth of ideas of how we can make this more exciting and more improved. Thanks.
Julian?
Hi everyone, I'm Julian Robertson. I've been here for 4 years now. I've studied at both Clifton campus, lived there, and I've lived in the city and studied at the city campus, so I know what it's like on both campuses. I've run a society for the last 2 years, which gives me a lot of experience of how societies work. I've also been involved in RAG by being a participant, so I know what it's like to actually participate. I've done a lot of fundraising, so I understand what fundraising involves. I think you should vote for me because I've actually got some big ideas, such as creating a society varsity series for both societies and RAG, and as well as that, I'd like to...
Let's go, Lizzie.
Hi, I'm Lizzie, and I feel like I've got the qualifications for this job purely because I'm a student supervisor here at the SU, so I'm trusted with the responsibility of running the building. I'm part of the committee on Fly FM, so I understand the needs of societies. I'm also on the committee for RAG, so I can help with the running of events. 3 of my main points in my manifesto: I want to change the culture of the City SU building. I want to make sure societies have continued training and support, and I also want to make sure that Give It a Go Week and RAG have enough promotion.
So done. Let's go, Gareth.
Hi there, I'm Gareth, and basically I'd like to vote for me because I want to bring 3 things to Students' Union. First thing is freedom. I want to bring freedom to societies that are being denied things in their grant forms, that are being told what kits they can and can't buy. Second, I want to bring change. Change what you think about RAG, sorry. I want to better expand it, may integrate societies and RAG, and where this took a lot of work though. Third thing, experience. I've had 2 years being president of society and 1 year as the vice chair of the Society Assembly, which essentially involved doing part of the current VP's job. So freedom, change, experience, vote Powell.
Last but not least, let's go with Carrie. Yeah, that's right.
Hey guys, I'm Carrie and I'm far too short for this microphone. I've been involved in RAG for the past 4 years and I'm currently RAG president at NTSU. I've kind of worked with Trent Media and societies during my time here at Trent, and I'm really hoping to kind of up the awareness, the promotion, the recruitment levels, and to actually get society members truly recognised for the great work that they do here at Trent. Thank you.
Fantastic. Do I have any questions for the candidates? I have 2. Let's go to Ben and then to Gavin.
No. Hi. Our Trent Media is quite good, but it's not really distributed anywhere. Fly FM, you have to tune in online. Trent TV, you have to watch online. So, do you think there's more opportunities for more distribution, like Fly FM being played in the SU broadcast or something like that?
Let's start with Carrie. Oh, Kristen.
That's actually something that I've always been thinking about since I was first year. I always used to walk into the taste, where Tasted especially, and thought, why aren't they playing Fly FM in here all the time? And I think kind of playing it within the uni more often can then build a platform for it to then grow and expand and maybe even become bigger and have its own station locally, maybe within Nottingham. Yeah, thank you.
Carrie?
I remember when Rag Week happened, and I did actually try and ask to see if Fly FM could be played in the SU during that time. But I vaguely remember that there being some kind of agreement or something like that with something else, which meant that we couldn't actually get Fly playing throughout the SU. But I do hope that if I was elected that I could change that and get the music playing kind of across the campus. Not only that, but Platform has gone into print now. It's been in print for a year, and so we are really kind of, the promotion of Trent Media is expanding.
Cheers, Gary. Julian?
I remember last year going into the Taste Cafe and actually hearing Fly FM being played. I know it's good quality because I didn't realise that it was Fly FM until they actually said, oh, this is Fly FM, so it's good quality, so I don't see why we can't at least look into getting it played in the SU, around the university a bit more. Something I'd definitely look into. Can't guarantee it would happen, but I'll look into it. Platform, as we said, it's back in print now, and it is growing, so I think that one is definitely on an upward spiral. And Trent TV, unfortunately, it's right now struggling just because it's on YouTube. Let's see if we can have more features maybe on societies and sports, and therefore the society sports teams look watching.
Rosie?
Well, I don't know why they aren't currently being played around the SU, but it would definitely be a good way to advertise societies and sports, just because I know that for smaller societies and sports, they need more plugging and more advertising to show what they're doing. And that ties in with my society newsletter that I want to run sort of at least 3 times a term for people to be aware of what societies are doing. So it would definitely be a great media way to get people known.
Fantastic. Let's go, Gareth.
I don't know, I definitely think the idea of putting it around the student union would be a good plan if that was capable. However, one big thing is there are 6,000 people currently in societies, and as VP activities, if I was elected, I would be able to talk to the individual committees and maybe hopefully get access to their Facebook pages, which all have lots and lots of people all watching it 24/7. So if we advertise Fly FM on there, I think it'd be a great way of actually getting more publicity for it.
Yeah, the reason that it isn't played out throughout the union is because they do have a contract. They're obliged to play while the TVs have to have the Sky on, etc. They do play it now and then over at the Point. I know that they've done it for elections. They do it for sports events. We do have a lot of exposure throughout the university as it is, and I do feel that it is enough promotion. We've done loads of things with smaller sports this year. The sports team did it. Obscure sports. So there is enough out there, but there are rules and regulations. So that's why we can't play it within the building itself.
Okay. Gavin? No. Hello?
No. How do you plan next year ensuring that society presidents engage with the soccer exec member or representative?
Let's start with you then, Gareth. Go down the line.
I think part of this came up at the Brackenhurst Q&A, but one thing I would stress is that it's important as the VP for make sure that the individual committees really take their handover seriously, and it's not just a matter of saying you do this and this. It must be a case of these are the things you have to do, and it's stressing that the part of the training isn't just done by the students' union, it's also done by the previous committee. So I think part of the role as VP would be to really stress that to the old committees. It's your job to train these new people, and if they're doing badly, then something's gone wrong there, and you need to sort it as well.
Time. Chris? Go, Chris, yeah. We'll just go down.
I think as a SOC exec at the moment, I think it might be good that since the SOC execs are committee members from society already, if there may be part of the training that goes on later for the new committees going in, so that way you can meet the new presidents that are coming in. They already know you, and then you can build a relationship from there, and then maybe set up meetings or have more like kind of forums going on so that they can continue that and have regular kind of meetings to discuss how they can build further.
Lizzie?
Yeah, this is a bit of an awkward one for me because I got brought up on Monday that Trent Media don't actually have a representative for the SOCCAS, so that's something I'd have to sort out. But I think effectively we'd have to think of, oh God, I can't remember the question, what was it?
Was it with training into, just give my mic back.
Completely blank, sorry.
How do you plan on increasing presidential sort of engagement with the HISSOC representative, not HISSOC, SOC exec representative?
In between the different houses, the societies and the houses? Yeah. I think there is a need, as Gareth said, for some sort of forum where the individual societies can talk between each other of that house. They're in a house so that they can speak to each other. They're part of a little, effectively a family, so the communication needs to be there in between them to begin with, and then the presidents can then have the communication with the SOC exec, and it will sort of run better as a whole.
Well, one of my main things is I want to encourage more communication between the SOC exec presidents and whoever gets elected as VP activities, just because being on a committee is hard work, and particularly if you're coming in as a new committee member, it's hard to know exactly what to do and how to fit in. And I want to encourage more communication between all the roles, just in order to sort out any problems quicker, because I know that sometimes you might not get on with somebody, you might disagree with something, but if you've got that support there, then you feel like you can achieve things better.
Being a society president, the SOC exec for me has been good because it's been a way of me getting my sort of views heard. Unfortunately, not all the presidents do turn up for our house, so the problem I've found is that they just don't have an authority. They're just another student, they're just another committee member. So what I'd look to do is actually give them some authority from the start of the year, and so make sure people know them and that they sort of listen to them instead of just ignoring their emails, which that's what's currently happening, basically.
Sorry. On my manifesto, I've got what I've called a President Mentoring Scheme, which I hope to introduce if I become elected. Now, the mentoring scheme will be kind of hopefully quite regular, when the president of each society in one house will meet with myself and their SOC exec to talk over any issues that they've got that they can resolve together, and also kind of build on the skills that they've learned. So kind of all the presidents within that same house and the exec can increase their communication and make sure the skills that they've got from their own society can be shared across all societies within the same house.
Did I see another question? Yep, I'll go with Kat first, and then we'll go to Ben.
Hiya. In your introductory speeches, you all kind of listed off the key points of your CV, but can you tell us more about some of the personal traits that would make you good for this role and why you would work well with the other execs?
Let's start with Carrie first.
Sorry, I rambled so little. First of all, I think I'm a really kind of friendly and approachable person, which you really need to be on the exec. You need people to feel confident that they can come to you with their issues, speak to you, and they'll feel that they've been listened and that they can trust you enough to, you know, actually get the job done and the changes that they want. I also, personally, I think I'm quite good with time management, being president of RAG and doing my degree, and I've got 2 part-time jobs as well. I've got to juggle a lot of things around, just like you would on exec.
Time.
Thank you.
Julian.
I've only got 30 seconds, so I'll just tell you one of them. I think my biggest thing is my ambition. Basically, as the Society President of Drama this year, I've basically made our events even bigger, and I've put more of them on, increased our membership, and I think my ambition to actually put on these big events and make things better is the biggest reason why I'd be good at the role.
Well, I think I'm pretty friendly and approachable because basically all the cheerleading squad call me mum just because I spend my entire time looking after people. So I think I'll be able to look after everyone to try and make the societies and RAG a lot better. And also my time management skills are pretty incredible at the moment. I've kind of given up on sleep in order to do my degree, work, and do this. So hopefully I'll be able to keep going.
One of the things, well, basically, first year was terrible for me, and the reason I got involved with the society was to improve on that, and it did twofold. That's why I'm here today. The roles that I mentioned in my 30 seconds, I'm working with a team constantly, whether it's here at work, whether it's with Fly, or whether it's on the RAG committee, so it shows that I can work with people, I can work individually. My role from marketing, I have to liaise on my own with Capital FM, so it shows that I've got the communication skills to work on my own as well. But in general, yeah, friendly, outgoing person.
For me, I would say it was probably my passion. Probably ever since I was about 12 years old, all through school and high school, everything, I've always been on student councils. I introduced like cheerleading and the mathletes to my school. And then coming here, kind of always being on multiple societies at a time, I just really have a drive for it. And I probably even put it before my studies, which is a very bad thing. But I really just have a passion to see societies and RAG grow. And I've even put on like 30-hour famines in the past. And so even though I haven't been involved in RAG specifically at uni, I've been always had that passion to kind of see things like that grow.
And go, Gareth.
I'd probably say two main qualities. I'm quite courageous and I'm very dedicated. I won't be ashamed to say currently my hobby involves dressing up in armour and running around with toy swords hitting people. When I first started that, I had very little to no self-confidence. Now I'm quite self-confident because I've walked around in this stuff in the middle of town and I just don't care anymore. I love that hobby. Secondly, dedication. I spent 8 years working with registered charities, so you know I can be dedicated to a cause when I want to be, and I really want to be dedicated to this cause.
Thank you. Next question. I'm just going to ask if every candidate just answers questions, and then we'll do a round of applause at the end, just because it's there's a lot of you.
Hello. So if you died and you were reincarnated as one of the animals on the menu at Nando's, which animal would you be and why?
Let's start with Chris.
I'm going to go for the obvious choice and say chicken here. Because a lot of people think that the chicken is just a small, insignificant animal, and, you know, we can just tease them all the time because, look, they go with their head chopped off running around. But, you know, maybe they're actually a really good, important animal, and they, you know, there was Chicken Run, they tried to escape, they're determined, and they work together, and they know what they're doing. Yes.
Julian.
I think I'm going to have to go with the chicken as well, simply because I can't think of anything else that's on the Nando's menu. But just point it out there, I always go hot, which shows that, you know, I'm a guy who can handle the pressure.
Let's go, Carrie.
This is going to be controversial, and it's a really difficult question for me because I haven't actually ever been to Nando's. So, I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't know what's on the menu. So you're going to have to choose for me. Thank you.
Let's go with Lizzie.
Okay, so I'm going to go with chicken again, but if I was a particular Nando's dish, it'd have to be the little mystery wing wheel thing, because you never quite know what you're going to get.
Rosie. Yeah.
I'm going to have a slightly wittier answer. Instead of going for the chicken, I'm going to go for the egg, because their egg custard tarts are amazing.
Gareth, do you want to head up?
I was picking chicken, but if you ever notice, there's a tiny little box in the menu where they offer you dragons in wraps, and I'd probably pick that because they're awesome, you know, they're pretty fire. And definitely, as Julian said, I always go for hot sauce, so that.
Great. Do we have any other questions from the audience? Yep. Oh, I'm going to like this question. Am I going to like it?
A lot of what I've encountered with working with 3 society committees over my time at Trent is apathy. It's one thing getting people interested in something, it's another getting them to go to these events. And we held a question time in here with 3 MPs and a comedian. And this was something that's of high caliber, but only 100 people turned out. And actually, when people heard about it afterwards, they said they rather would. So what would you do to improve communication across all 3 campuses about great events that society's putting on, and RAG, and all the volunteering, because people just aren't turning up to these events?
Chris?
It's kind of one of the main points of my manifesto as well, is to kind of increase that relationship between the Students' Union and the societies in RAG. I think there's a lot of things that the Students' Union can do and are kind of already doing to help promote societies, including things like having things on the screens and kind of being able to put things on like the ENTS Facebook page, but they're just not happening because societies don't know that they can happen. Like it took to promote kind of, let's say, the drama play that's going on now, it took a lot of legwork to find out that you're actually allowed to show things on the screen. And I think things like that need to be more readily available to the societies.
Sorry, Chris. Let's go, Gareth. We'll do a big clap.
I'd like to say it's a sad truth, but sometimes apathy just happens. I think 20% of people voted in the election last year. Some people, they're just not interested in that kind of thing. We can't force them to be, but I do think you have to keep trying. And I say incentives and trying out new, fresh ideas is probably always a good plan. Our society, we group together with all the other, like the geeky societies, and sort of let each other try out each other's different things. I think trying to do that sort of cross subject events might be something new and interesting, get people to try new things.
Oh, Lizzie?
Yeah, we have quite a big issue with this in our society. A lot of people end up not turning up to their own radio shows, and you have to find cover. I think the main thing is working with the other VPs. So now with services, having halls, you could work with them to get a broader range of people, freshers within halls, so that know these events are going on from their first year, and then when they continue, they can keep looking out for them. Also, with now VP Community, you can go through them to get in touch with the volunteering, push that out. We give it a go in Rag Week. It is just more promotion. It was very under-promoted this year. I do know the screens broke for a little while, but things like that. Just
time. Oh, sorry. Let's go, Carrie.
In a weird kind of way, it's almost great that activities has lost volunteering now to community, because it does mean that we're going to have a lot more time to actually focus on the promotion of societies and RAG as well, to hopefully get the kind of membership and people turning up. I'm also hoping to introduce what I'm calling a Sock Fest in the second term to go across all 3 campuses. This will be a day to celebrate all societies, to let students know that they are still open. They're still letting people join. Thank you.
Julian?
Something I put on in my manifesto, there's 2 main things that I want to do. Firstly, you might promote your society's events differently to our promote our society's events. We might be unsure about what's happening. The first thing I do, put a pack together for society committees so they know exactly what opportunities there are for promotion at the SU, so everyone's aware of it. Secondly, what I want to do is put a big chalkboard up in the SU. Like if you walk past a pub, you might read what's going on. I think that's a really good way of knowing what's going on. I always read them when I walk past it, so I'd like something similar at the SU, highlighting what's going on, so everyone knows when they're coming in and out. Thank you.
Rosie?
Well, one of my manifesto things is I wanted to start a society newsletter to run 3 times a term, just because I think it's a good way for people to sort of go and see what other societies are doing, because as a fresher I didn't have a clue about most of the societies that I had forgotten about during Freshers' Fair, and then I thought it was too late to actually join. But by running a society newsletter, you'll be able to see what's happened, what they're trying to do, the events that are happening for the next couple of weeks until the next newsletter comes out, and that way we can get a little bit more publicity for it. So I hope that will help next year.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, candidate. Didn't miss anyone? Haven't missed anyone then? I just had to cut a panic then. Another question. Oh, we'll go back down to the front and then we'll head to the back and to the side.
As James Inslee will know, I constantly bug him for information about societies and things like that. However, he is only one man, however great that man may be. What would you do to propose to have deputies under him to help him deal with the 80 societies he has to deal with answers like finance, membership, treasury, all those sorts of stuff, which he constantly gets emailed 10 times a day, and he can't really necessarily always field those questions. He might need deputies. What would you say to proposing having deputies under him?
Let's start with Lizzie.
As VP Activities, we do work with the societies coordinator, so there are 2 people on the job, but I do think it could be a potential to look for a deputy. What I'd personally do is speak to speak to the societies coordinator and VP Activities at the minute and see if they thought it was something that was feasible within the funding to pay for another member of staff.
Rosie?
I think now that Activities isn't in charge of volunteering, there will be more time to help the societies coordinator to do the job a bit better and to also take some of the pressure off him, because I know that I'm going to need some time to fill if I was elected, just because I had a lot of ideas planned for volunteering. So.
Julian?
Okay, societies coordinator does a great job right now. As we've already picked up on, the SOC exec, they're currently just trying to arrange meetings with presidents. I don't see any reason why they can't be trained, so they're a port of call for societies. So if they've got specific questions, they can go to their head of house, or maybe they just need to be made aware that they can go to their head of house. Also, training sessions right now, they're really good, but it's tough to know beforehand what's going to be good for each position. So make it a bit more clear which session would be good for each committee member in particular.
Carrie?
I'm not really sure that there's much I can say that hasn't already been said. I mean, the VP activities should have a little bit more free time now that volunteering's gone, so we can offer a lot more support. If a deputy is really needed, I guess that's something that we can assess and see if there is actually the budget to be able to in place that. But to be honest, I think everybody's already got it covered.
Chris?
Yeah, a lot has already been covered, and I kind of agree with I think there should be kind of student roles as like the deputies, and maybe like the SOC execs as well. And like at the moment, presidents should be going to the SOC execs with all their questions anyways. So the more that that's publicized, the more that's promoted, a lot of the society's coordinators' job would be alleviated by those questions going directly to their SOC execs, and they could help them with things instead of him constantly being bombarded.
Gareth?
Yeah, pretty much. A lot of it's been covered. However, I would say that one much easier and better solution would be to stop treating the symptoms and try and treat the actual root of the problem, which would be ensure that training is being done and it's being done right. And secondly, try to provide the committees and presidents with the material they would need to answer their own questions. So if they can just go online, read a piece of information that way, they don't need to email anyone and take anyone's time. But I certainly think it's a shared responsibility between the VP and the science coordinator that they would be able to handle that workload between them.
Yeah. Thank you, candidates. You look really nervous today. You guys are fine. No one's challenging anyone either. Let's go. I'll go to the back first and then come up to the side, just to make you walk longer. I feel like you should wear glitter, Liz.
Yeah.
Glamorous assistant.
Maybe I will later. For you.
In the past, there have been cases of new societies being set up, and then after a year, they've completely flopped because no one wanted to run for committee or whatever. What would you do to support new societies and ensure that they remain affiliated?
Let's start with Rosie.
Sorry, I don't look nervous. I'm just really freaking hot up here. Probably with the new societies, I know a couple of people who started societies this year, and it is difficult trying to encourage it to carry on just because you always see all the bad things that happen in first year, like the things that didn't go well, the things that do go well. But I think it's all a bit of better training for the new committees because obviously they haven't been on, not necessarily been on committees before. So it's a case of training them up for a new person or getting people interested in joining committee early on so that they can be trained up and just step into the role easier. So I think that's probably the best way to combat it.
Chris?
Yeah, I think for this as well is something that also could use the SOC execs more. Maybe the SOC exec could come in and kind of help them run during the first couple of months or term and kind of make sure that they're building strong and that they know where to go from there and that they can kind of keep members that they have and know how to become a bigger society from the experience that their SOC exec might have.
Julian?
Okay, I think currently the problem is that a lot of these societies come in about halfway through the year, and so they're trying to get their training sessions in and also learn all the things while also trying to promote themselves to a load of new members. So it's tough to do all of that at once when the year's sort of already halfway through and you've missed the freshers fairs and those sort of things. Things like promoting Give It a Go week a bit more, where we've had a refreshers sort of fair this year, promoting this a little bit more to students so everyone knows our opportunities. And also, sorry, as they're established, making sure that they know exactly how to promote the society by using my experience I've had as a society member.
Lizzie?
I know I've spoken to someone who recently tried to set up a poetry society and that fell through completely. But the idea that they had was to sort of attach themselves onto another society. So there is potential for societies to join forces so that they can cover a range of different areas. But also I think if you use the SOC if you use the SOC member of a particular house that society falls under to help with the training initially, like Julian says, if they come part way in through the year, they'll then have continued support and they can carry on going to that person to get the support that they need.
Gareth?
Yeah, as the president of a society, I've been to a lot of the committee assemblies, and it's such a shame seeing that so many societies being disaffiliated. I'm sorry, so I've had a hand in some of those. And in a lot of cases, it's again, the point that was raised earlier was apathy. I think one of the things we should encourage members of individual societies or new societies to understand is that these roles, even roles, like important roles like president and treasurer, are not going to occupy all your time. They are something you can do on the side, as well as your course, and by doing it, you're sacrificing your free time, and you're doing a good thing. I think that's something we should really stress to any members of new societies.
Thank you. Gary?
I'm hoping that President mentoring will really kind of help the committees of the new societies kind of learn the way that other societies in similar ways kind of keep themselves afloat, to make sure that the committees are fully trained. I'm also hoping that I can have like promotion on the front page of the website that will be like a spotlight for new societies, so they'll get promoted out there to potential members that may have not heard of them through other outlets like Freshers Fair and that kind of thing.
Thank you. Everyone? Okay, another question. Was it with Heather? Sorry, we'll go Heather, then Alex.
A lot of societies and RAG do their own promotions, do their own marketing and things like that. They've been successful, they've had failures, they've learned from those experiences. I want to know what experience you have personally that you can then use to help them, because they've already got their own knowledge of how marketing and promotions works. I want to know what you can bring to the table that's extra, like more than what they already know themselves, how you can help them with your own personal experiences.
Let's start with Julian.
Okay, half the thing with promotion is that if a committee member puts themselves forward to be a committee member, they are taking on that role, so it's not about doing the job for them. It is up to them to sort of learn the ropes as they go. They'll make the mistakes, so it is sort of their role to do. But as I say, I would like to put together a pack so people know what promotion opportunities are available, so then they can make informed choices on what they actually would like to do. Actual experience, I've put on a lot of big events over the last couple of years that have been well attended by students and the general public, and I introduced the role of promotion secretary to our society so we could actually have a dedicated promotions team.
Lizzie?
I'm actually head of promotions and marketing for Fly FM, so I do fully understand that we do have our own avenues to go down and we do understand what we're doing, but there are difficulties. So with RAG, in the RAG committee, we've had RAG hall reps, and it's been very difficult getting them involved. So it's using extra avenues to then push the promotion through. That's the kind of thing that I would introduce. I'd want to get the RAG hall reps to have actual meetings between each other, so that promotion would be boosted. Between other societies, it is, as Julian says, a case for the society members, the ones coming in, being taught that how to promote themselves, and then that continuing throughout the year.
Carrie?
Promotion is like massive, absolutely huge. It depends kind of what you think by actual promotion, if you want to promote just a singular event or a position, or what promotion you're kind of on about. But after I've been in a couple of different positions within RAG throughout the years that I've been at Trent, and I've kind of learned about promotion from little events down when I was an officer to the promotion of things like RAG reps and all that. Now I'm president. I've had a lot of experience with different forms of promotion, and I'm hoping that I can bring that from my different roles to kind of help any individual in that specific role.
Gareth?
I think one of the things to stress is that as VP of activities, our role is a lot of like being an overseer. If the things are going well, they're promoting themselves, then they're doing a great job. There's not really much we can do. But in terms of actual personal experience, being president of the society for 2 years has taught me to know the individual needs of each society members, the committees, that kind of thing. And in terms of RAG, I've been with a registered charity for 8 years, and for many of those years I worked as a youth officer, organising charity events, a lot of volunteering, that kind of thing. So I'd say that's given me a lot of personal experience when it comes to raising and giving.
Thank you. Chris?
I'm actually the promotion sec for drama, and I'm also studying a promotions and communications course. So I think I could bring a lot to the role, kind of teaching people how they can fully promote and market. And I've also, being on the committee for the Christian Union as well, we all kind of know how hard it is to get people to come to events like that. And so it's about kind of teaching societies as well, like as much as they promote, they need just to kind of keep that positivity, that even if not that many people come, they can still try and get and become bigger and better, and kind of keep kind of just hoping that more people will come. Thanks.
From working in a fundraising and marketing department of a charity, I've learned that the best sort of #1 rule is always ask. You have to ask yourself who your target market is, what sort of methods you have already, and how you want to get that across. You have to see what resources you have already, what you might need, and then try and find a way to do it at as low a cost as possible, because there are all sorts of things here available. It's just sort of contacting the right people to get them involved. So hopefully that helps.
Fantastic. And there was the last question, was it Alex? Yeah, let's give you guys a round of applause. I'm just grilling you. There's just so many of you trying to get through a load of questions. Sorry, Alex.
What is your favourite RAG event that you've attended this year, and how would you help improve it next year if you got elected?
Okay, let's start with, who have not started with for a while? Lizzie.
This is a bit of a tough one because I've got 2 favourite events. Can I say 2? The Take Me Out event was absolutely incredible, and the only way I think I'd improve it is by introducing it on a regular basis, because it worked really well. People absolutely loved it. We made we took our own swing on it and had balloons. And the other event is Touch It, but that was probably because the amount of exposure it got, people thought it was hilarious until the early hours of the morning where it got a little bit touchy.
Thank you. Let's go with Carrie.
We've done so much this year that it's really kind of pinned down an actual favourite. But I really loved the clothes swap that we did during RAG Week on the first day. You know, if people weren't there, we kind of had old clothes that we sold for new to people, or they could bring in and swap, and it was great. It was brilliant. The only problem is that we didn't get much footfall through this area on that day. I'm hoping that we could have more promotion about that so we can increase the footfall, but because it was the first year and it was kind of a trial run, then hopefully that's something that we can build on in the future.
Thank you. Gareth?
I sort of walked in briefly on the Take Me Out event, so I'd probably say that one was one of my favourite, just because it kind of caught me by surprise. It was quite funny. I've not actually had that much involvement in RAG in the last few years, but that kind of sort of encouraged me. It was one of the reasons why I decided to take this role, because it just looked fun and it looked like a great thing to do, essentially.
Chris?
I think my favourite was the sleep out that, well, it was kind of started by rugby with RAG, and it was kind of for all the societies and sports teams that they could join. In the end, it was only rugby and Christian Union who really attended, but I think it was a great opportunity for all the societies and sport teams to kind of come together and do a RAG event together, and it's just good to kind of build that relationships between both sports and societies.
Thanks.
This is going to sound awful, but I haven't actually done a RAG event this year just because I've been so busy doing my dissertation, trying to do all my group work, and I work between sort of 12 and 20 hours a week, so I just haven't had the chance. If I could have, I would have loved to have done the camp out just because I always love going camping with my family, so it's just sort of like one of those sort of get to know people sort of things. So next year, if I get elected, then I'll definitely get involved. Otherwise, I'm still going to come back and get involved anyway, so I've missed out this year.
My favourite RAG event this year was during RAG Week, when you could go and pay off your library fines and all the money went to RAG. That was my favourite because I've had library fines for 3 years now, and it actually gave me an excuse to go and pay them off properly, so it actually gets cherry. And I'd like to do more sort of events like that where it's beneficial for not just RAG, but also the person who's actually going and doing it. It's not something you have to participate in, you just have to go and pay some money for a good cause.
Thank you ever so much. Yay, let's give you guys a round of applause. You've been inundated with questions from Twitter and from the floor, and there's still some from the table, but I'm going to have to pause us there because we've still got another campus to go to, so we can save some of those questions. So I'll give a big round of applause for your VP Activities candidates. Thank you. And now could I have any student trustees? Student trustees. Why are you moaning? Because what? Yeah, it's interesting. Just breathing, okay. Okay, gentlemen. You've got 30 seconds to say why you will be a good trustee for the Students' Union. Ben, you going first.
Hello, I'm Ben King. I want to be a student trustee because this year I've been elected as a student officer, and I've learned a lot about the organisation of the union and how it works. I want to take this further next year by sitting on the trustee board. I've got a lot of experience with sitting. I've been sitting down in chairs for most of my life, and I've also been running my own business for the last 8 years, so I think I have the perfect qualifications to help oversee the structure and organisation, finances, strategy, all that good stuff. So, cheers.
Cool. Go on then, Alex.
Firstly, and maybe most importantly, I will represent the cohort of students who will pay £9,000 for their tuition fees. Now, although I cannot change this, I can influence change within the university to get you more value for money. Secondly, I have already sat on a board of trustees. Through this experience, I've dealt with eminent lecturers at red brick universities, important people of AstraZeneca, and discussed projects with Sainsbury's. So I know what I'm doing. Thank you very much.
Okay, I'm going to read a statement on behalf of Jake Mayers. So you need to time me as well. Yeah. Hopefully I won't get it too badly wrong. Cool. Unfortunately, I cannot make the Q&A session this evening due to work commitments. However, I wanted to highlight why I think you should vote for me on being the high-end decision-making body of NTSU. One of the key areas I would like to improve is making sure we have stronger communication and feedback channels so you, as NTSU members, can be heard at the highest possible level. I have a wide range of experience I feel like I can bring to my role, so view my manifesto for more information and what I'd like to do if I was to be elected. Thank you. Give me a clap then. Come on. Great. Okay, so questions for trustees. Does anyone have one? No? Okay, I'll go to my paper. I feel like you've already answered all these already. At a trustee board, there's a high level of confidentiality about what we discuss. That range from staffing matters through to students, through to behaviour. How do you think you'll be able to manage those types of conversation and then, leaving a meeting and you might be heading down to the pub or something? So being in a room and having confidential discussions, how do you think you can manage that and then literally half an hour later maybe going shopping or something? It's a bit...
In my career, I've done a lot of confidential work for some of the biggest companies in the world, like Microsoft. I know about NDAs, and I know how to keep my mouth shut.
Okay. Go on, Alex.
Well, it really seems like a simple simple answer. I just won't talk about it. If you know you shouldn't, you don't.
Cool. Any questions from the audience? We've got one from Gavin. Glamorous assistant. Wow. Wow. Trustees are asking the audience. This hasn't happened before. Wow, I don't know what to do. We'll take Gavin's question and then you can explain it to us if you want. Gavin?
Ron's got a killer manifesto this year. How do you plan on combating his clear campaigning skill and wit?
So that was Ron. How are you going to combat Ron?
I've never liked Ron. He never even shows up to any of these things. I think you've got to show commitment. You've got to show that you're willing to, come along to these events. And I went to Brackenhurst on Monday. That was a faff. So I think it's really important in, getting involved. So don't vote for Ron. Vote for Ben King.
Alex.
Ron's been here for years, hasn't he? I mean, he's in every single election, and he's never been elected. So do you really think he should be elected when he's never been elected before? Well, he might have been, but I don't know.
Thank you so much, candidates. Do we have another question before we... Jetty B. What is a student trustee?
Basically, recently the union was turned into a charity, and what we do is we sit on the trustee board that is basically the highest level of the organization. So big ideas get sent through by the student council that I'm on this year, and then it goes to the board to make sure that it doesn't bankrupt the uni. that it makes sense, it's something that's worth investing time and money into, and basically overseeing that along with the exec, and providing from the elected position a student, current student perspective, to make sure that it's not all just employed people who don't study anymore.
Jeddy. A trustee is someone who doesn't exactly work for the board, but has a vested interest in the organisation. For example, the Vice-Chancellor may work for the place, but he is the high level. He's paid £321,000 a year, so people need to keep him in check. So trustees do that.
Fantastic. Let's give a round of applause for our student trustees. I get a question at the back. Oh, 2 questions. We'll go to Rosie first.
If you were given all the money from the university, what would you spend it on and why?
I would donate it to reinstating £1 pints at Quids Inn.
That's pretty good. Well, I understand the economics behind the Quids Inn problem, so I don't think I could use all of that money because there'd be too much. You make 8p off a pint in Quids Inn, so all the money doesn't really matter. To answer the question, are you wearing a penguin costume? Are you wearing a penguin costume?
Panda.
Panda. I would use the money to help pandas everywhere stay alive.
Just stay alive. Let's go to Julian. Liz, Julian first, sorry.
So obviously you sit on a board with the Pro Vice-Chancellor. You're just a student. I don't mean that in an offensive way. But what will you do to make sure that he actually listens to what you're saying and takes you seriously?
Just have a point of clarity before we respond to that. The Board of Trustees doesn't have any university members on it, so the Board of Trustees for the Students' Union is totally separate, so the Pro Vice-Chancellor doesn't sit on our trustee board. However, if the question can be adapted to potential external trustees that have gained a lot of experience.
Okay, can I say, how would you, when working with external trustees then, how would you make sure that they take you seriously? Sorry.
Go on then.
I would take it seriously. I mean, basically, it's just driving forward the importance of what this means to students. You know, it's very easy when you're looking at accounts and budgets to just look at the numbers, but obviously there's people behind numbers. And by us being on the board, you know, we can really be passionate and say, yeah, you want to cut all this money, I don't really fancy that, and really providing a personal human face to that stuff.
Aww, supportive candidates.
I've never really had a problem getting noticed. Obviously, I'm a bit of an idiot, but for people to take you seriously, you need to be very strong. You need to be a strong member of society. That's why I want to be on the board. When people are speaking to you and they're obviously at an important level in a organisation, you need to be forceful back. You need to be on par. You're on that board because you have both been elected to do it. If they don't understand that, they really shouldn't be on that board.
Okay, we've got a question from Twitter which asks, what is the importance of a student trustee, which already answers, but why can't the exec be trusted to make the decisions?
I have a video of Paddy, very, very drunk, outside Ocean. Do you really think he should be trusted on a board of trustees? I fully support him, and I'm going to vote for him, but on a board of trustees?
Let's go with Ben.
Well, I like Paddy. What can I say? I forgot the question. Sorry, I got caught up in the bitchiness. What was the question?
Why can't the exec be trusted to make the decisions?
I I wouldn't say they're necessarily not trustworthy. It's just that being a current student, you have a different perspective. And making decisions like this, when you bring together all of the different perspectives, is when you come to the best solution. And the best solution is the best thing for the students of the union. So I think it's.
Sorry, Ben. Thank you. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I'm going to end it there with trustees, purely because we've got one more position up, and we can give them some more of a grilling later on at Clifton. So thank you ever so much for our student trustees and for your fantastic responses. VP Services and Communication. Do you want to...
Hi, I'm Jeremiah and I want you to vote for me to be your VP Services. I have plenty of ideas and I'm eager to hear yours too. So again, vote Jeremiah for VP Services.
If you want to see the introduction of Rag Christmas and Valentine's balls and more daytime activities brought to your SU, then do Trent a favour and vote for Fraser.
Hi ladies and gentlemen, I'm Jeddy B and I'm the guy who's going to make it happen. Go online, look at my manifesto, check out what I'm all about, like what you see, vote for Jeddy B. Let's make it happen.
I want to make your student union more about you and what you want.
Hey everyone, I'm really sorry I can't be there to answer your questions today, but I'm currently in A&E. Tweet me any questions and I'll get back to you ASAP. I'm your current Clifton Liaison Officer, sit on the NTSU Trustee Board and was an NUS delegate this year, so from experience, I know what can and can't be achieved, so I won't make any false promises, but what I will promise is that I will do everything in my power to give you a better student experience. Vote Chantel Farr and see how far I can take your SU. That's Chantel. Now, Fraser, do you want to do your 30 seconds?
Hi guys, I'm Fraser. For those of you watching on the stream just now, there was a huge cheer just then. You should pick me for VP Services and Communication because I feel between Freshers Ball when you first join uni, Graduation Ball when you're leaving uni, there's not really any formal events for us. I feel introducing these formal events with making them Rag Christmas balls, Rag Valentine's balls, it'll help with my other manifesto points, which is to promote Rag, help raise money for the charities, and let's face it, that's always going to be a good thing. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Fraser.
Hi, I'm Jeremiah. Hello. What I plan to do if I'm elected is increase live performance in all SU venues, use Trent DJ to get more students mixing at the SU events, hall parties during Refreshers Week, and focus on the integration of non-hall freshers into the student community, a Refreshers Fair, and also longer opening hours for the SU shop. Vote Jess for VPRES, yes!
I think I'll stand up. Hello. Right, okay, ladies and gentlemen, imagine a world without words. Communication is vital in everything that we do as a student union and as an individual. Let's put it in perspective. You can't take advantage of every service and support that the SU offers if you don't know about it. Imagine a situation where, I don't know, someone was stressed with uni work and they were potentially suicidal, and we haven't told them about the services we offer. Think of the consequences. A vote for Jeddy breaks through those barriers. It takes down the walls and it offers you the services that we can offer. Jeddy, a vote for Jeddy is a vote for the future.
Okay. Do I see any questions? I will go with Gareth first. I'm just trying to warm them up. We all know what your questions are like.
You mentioned, Jeremiah, that you wanted to put on hall parties during Refreshers Week. Do you plan on doing that solely as VP Services, or do you plan on working with the halls committees to do that?
Pardon?
You mentioned putting on parties in the halls during Refreshers Week. Do you plan on working just on your own with your people to put that on, or do you plan on working in conjunction with halls committees?
Well, that's, oh, sorry. In regards to the hall parties, obviously, if people within the halls committees wanted to get involved, then obviously that would be a good thing to do because that's more representative of the people within the halls. But obviously, I'd be overseeing it and implementing most of my ideas. Does that answer your question? Thank you.
Thanks. Cool. Libby Barrier Williams.
So this is Jedi. You want to bring back pound a pint. We've already discussed about how it may not be financially liable, but also a big topic is lag culture. So to make it more financial, you'd have to sell more of those pound a pints in the night and make it more popular. The Pro-Vice Chancellor actually picked a student off the street at 8 p.m. the other day and took him back to halls. So the pressure from the uni is increasing and it will get worse next year. So you're not just going along with lag culture.
Okay. Hello. No, you've got totally a very valid point about that, and I overheard the Pro-Vice Chancellor carrying someone home as well. I was concerned. However, when we raised it to £1.50, the cost of beer in the bar, we also dropped the cost of Jaeger bombs to £1. Jaeger bombs being described by Drinkaware as a drink that promotes binge drinking. Binge drinking defined as excessive amounts of alcohol in a short amount of time. So these Jaeger bombs that are now £1, and the pints that are £1.50 are actually, in my opinion, promoting binge drinking. A time of the day on a Thursday which is designed for social and enjoyable talking experience is now turned into a night out.
This question is to Jedi. In your manifesto, you mentioned something about unique events. Yep. What unique events are you actually talking about?
Okay, over the last 2 years, I've worked on site at festivals such as Glastonbury, Leeds Festival, Reading Festival, Wireless, Creamfields. I've been at the peak, at the forefront of major live events. The first thing I want to do is something called Spartan Scholar, a Midlands-wide event which incorporates sports teams, societies from a variety of universities over the Midlands. They come together, they show Nottingham off as a venue space, things such as Giant Jenga, things such as a Tough Mudder style event at Clifton. It's something we've never done. It's a promotional major event that could put Nottingham on the map again.
Let's go to the back to Naz first, and then we'll go around.
This is to everyone. At the moment, working on ENTS committee, double vision at Clifton is going a bit lower. The attendance there is getting so much lower around this time of year. How would you combat that next year?
At the minute, I couldn't really answer that. It's really the simple answer there is to go and speak to those students, find out why they're not attending. What's the problem? Could it be drinks prices? Could it be music that's in there? We need to speak to those students, find out what the problems are to be able to rectify it, really.
Gosh, I'm shaking. Well, I've got a couple of ideas. More live acts at Double Vision, obviously, to increase participation. Maybe implementing like free entry before 11. And the positives of that are you get more people through the door earlier. You have people in the club for longer, so they're going to spend more. And also combined drink deals, maybe. We're all going out to have a good time and drink, so if there are deals there, that's more of an incentive as well.
Sorry, Jet.
Hello. Okay, so one of the first things I want to do is obviously install the app, but I'll chat about that later on when someone brings it up. On this app is going to be, think of the NTSU Air Miles scheme. It'll be a feature where you get to the bar and you check in using a swipe of your mobile phone on an RFID. That means you've paid your entry, and you prove loyal to that event or that venue. We'll be able to do it campus-wide, and it'll mean someone's got like a Tesco's club card to come to the event, so they'll be able to receive, I don't know, every 5 times they go, they get 1 free entry. It's incentivizing them, it's wanting them to use the venues that we're offering.
Thank you. I'll see a challenge from Jeremiah.
How much is this app going to cost, and are we going to be able, like, are people that are like drunk, because most people pre-drink before they go out, are they going to be able to swipe in at the bar?
I think they're probably 2 30-second questions. I'll do the feasibility first. Staffordshire, Leeds Met, Cardiff, Liverpool, John Moore, Middlesex are all universities that are unions, that are utilising a smartphone application. Currently, we've got AppJam, which is an NTU-run project, which is going to cost £250 to design a student-run application within the university. Sorry, we could mirror that image into the university. Necessity is the mother of all invention. I think it is necessary, it's required, and I think we need to put it in straight away.
See a challenge from Fraser.
What are you going to do for the students that don't currently have smartphones?
Okay, listen, it's only one method of promotion. 7 in 10 people in this country alone at the minute have a smartphone. It is a minority of people that don't have. We have already methods of communication that are in place. The traditional flyers and posters do work. I'm just saying that the app is a more effective method of targeting individuals that are willing to use technology as a method of receiving the union.
Let's go for Jeremiah first.
In regards to your app, so how far in have you got to that actually making that happen? Is that going to come into play when you get the role, if you get the role, or is it still in its preliminary stages?
Okay, I've got probably about 15 ideas for this app. However, I'm sure that's not exhaustive. If I get into the position, we'll be able to bring together a student focus group that can help us with what they feel is relevant. The things that I think are right for the app probably won't be all applicable. We need to bring in experts for a start that know what can be done on the budget, and secondly, people that are going to be using it. You guys, a focus group is designed to focus the target on the application.
Okay. Fraser, yeah, you heckle.
I know probably a lot of students will agree with this. A lot of the time you download an app, after a month you forget it's even on your phone. How are you going to actually stop students from just failing to use this anymore?
So we need to create what you call draw factors to the application. The first draw factor will be the Freshers Week guide being placed on the application. It will mean that we can reduce the amount of reps that are required to be, like, say, knocking down doors in early morning. People have an early warning system of what their night is going to be. It can be pushed through the email channels early on in the periods of fresher, so you get told to download that app if you've got a smartphone. We're then going to use push notifications for competitions and incentives. It will obviously host the loyalty scheme as well, so people will want it on there to incentivize them to go to the events. And we're also going to put a sports and society
Time.
on the app.
Cheers, Jodie. Okay, I'm going to open out to questions now, just purely because we could probably debate about the app for quite a while. I've seen so many hands, so I'm sorry if I get everyone's order wrong. I'll go with Libby, because I forgot you earlier.
I'll go Fraser first. You want to improve relations between exec and students. There are 26,000 students at Trent. If you were to hear all their individual voices, that would be your year gone. So how do you actually plan to improve that?
Well, I feel a lot of it, with city students in particular, a lot don't know even where the exec are, to be honest. I think there needs to be maybe better signs explaining where the exec office is, how to get there. Maybe exec popping around in Freshers Week with the reps for those particular halls, introducing themselves to the students, just briefly explaining what you do, you know, if they have any problems, how they can contact you.
Okay, thank you. I see a question down at the front, and then we'll. Oh, sorry, Libby. This one down here. Yeah, sorry. I feel rude to point.
Fraser, you said in your manifesto that you want to end fresh reps coming around and knocking on doors in mornings or just generally because you expect them to have more friendships with their flat. How do you expect to promote events and get information out there for the freshers? Wouldn't this just slash attendance to things like Sassy Antics and Fresh Affairs, in which a wider scope of friendships can be developed?
My main point about stopping fresher reps from banging on the doors is to do with letting freshers know about the nights out, like where we're meeting, what time. I just think it's a much easier way if we were to put a poster on the front of that block door in the reception. They know where and when they're going then. We don't have to be pestering them all the time, ruining their first week at uni.
Okay, thank you. We'll go over to this side of the room first.
Yeah. In your manifesto, you mentioned about using the venue space in the SU for your sleeping pod idea and also the cinema. Your sleeping pods? Oh, yeah. Yeah. Can I ask what part of the SU you actually wanted to incorporate that idea in?
Okay, I call it Gryffindor Common Room, right? It's the one that's in the cafe and you go right down the stairs to the bottom of the stairs. It's just got sofas on at the minute. Sleep pods won't be in abundance. They'll only be, 2 or 3. They're really effective. They're being used in Google, Cisco, IBM at the minute. Improve concentration, improve productivity during the daytime. They're supposed to be 20-minute breaks. They play music to wake you up at your best peak time. They're absolutely cracking. The slumber party will actually happen in here as a one-off RAG event. It'll just be one of the unique events that we want to put on. It's been spoken to me by freshers. It's in Freshers Week, and they said they wanted to do something like that.
Thank you. Libby. Oh, sorry, is that a challenge from Jeremiah?
Can't people go home to sleep if they're tired?
They can. The point of the sleep pod is 20 minutes is now new scientifically apparently the desirable amount of time which increases your productivity to carry on the amount of work. I know as a Trent student, if I went home when I was absolutely tired, it would go for a lot longer than 20 minutes. It's designed for a quick break to boost your productivity straight out of the library so you can get back on it, get your work done, and potentially go out that night instead of sleeping straight through, okay?
So if you were to have these sleep pods, would you be able to go to these sleep pods and have a nap within 20 minutes? Do you soon as you hit the pillow, do you fall asleep, or does it take a while for you to do so? And then that kind of defeats the point of the quick nap, because obviously you've only got 20 minutes and you might not be able to get to sleep because there's other things around, unfamiliar surroundings, so on and so on.
These sleep pods are used in industry by some of the best companies in the world. They're scientifically designed to feature to focus your amount of sleep on the workload that you're trying to produce. They're designed there specifically to make you better at what you're trying to be, whether that's a businessman, whether that's a student. They're focusing your sleep to get you back in the library. Whether you can fall asleep in 20 minutes, I don't know, that's your personal preference. However, they do have the best go scientifically to do it.
We've all watched The Internship, and it does look like a good idea, but it's not very realistic for our student community, I don't feel. Just saying.
We've all watched The Internship, the comedy film, which is designed to make us laugh about things that probably aren't true and are scripted in a thing. They cost a lot of money to the companies that buy them. They buy them because they work, ladies and gentlemen. They are a quirky feature that would complement this student union. They are new, innovative, like everything else on my manifesto, like the application. If you don't like them, don't use them, but they are bloody brilliant. I've been in one.
Okay, I'm going to go with a question at the back to the young lady with the very lovely hair.
This was just building on your point. How many students are actually going to feel comfortable going to sleep in the SU? I'd be scared I'd wake up with a penis drawn on my face or something.
I've just done an idea. Probably put a camera near one, probably actually, just to see whether someone does pull that prank. No, you are right. Obviously, they would have to be monitored as something we'd put in Trent. However, the idea behind them is to as a community to build on your ability to get better, so you can finish your work quicker. So if we're using them as a Trent team, if you like, and therefore together, pulling together and getting our work done, I suppose the community feel around it would build. It probably would happen, you're right, probably in the first week actually, but I'm sure it would die down after a while.
Okay, Jeremiah?
You suggested them being monitored. How would you plan to do that? How would they be monitored?
Would you draw a penis on someone's face that you didn't know? I would say that is a method of looking at it. It was mentioned before me, I didn't say that. I don't think if it was someone else using the sleep pod that wasn't part of your friend group, you would go and vandalise their time, their personal time. You wouldn't do it to someone if they were sleeping in the library, which, by the way, people do on often occasions. So we need to try and combat this and put it into an environment that they feel safer than just doing it on a desk in the library.
Okay, I'm going to go for a question at the back, Adam, because his hand's been up for ages.
Hi, Jed. A few things to do also with the acts and the sleeping pods. Firstly, there's been quite a few acts this year that have been quite successful. Will it be feasible to bring big acts into the SU, which is one of the things you want to do? And also, if students were to see that money's being spent on stuff like sleeping pods and people to watch sleeping pods with cameras and stuff like that, do you not think it will cause a bit upset when it could be better on stuff that's more productive for the rest of the students rather than just a minority that want to sleep for 20 minutes?
Well done, Team Jeremiah. Right, Firstly, I don't at any point in my manifesto mention live acts, actually. It's not something that I bring up on mine. It does say unique major events, and that necessarily doesn't mean live acts. I think they work, but I think they work when they're branded properly. Unique major events means things that are unique to Nottingham Trent. Every O2 academy in the country is putting events on in their student union. We need to do things that are different and things that pull together the network of Nottingham Trent University. You are right in terms of the expenditure of the money. It's a small amount compared to the amount of money that Nottingham Trent Students' Union makes, and I think it is valuable to what we can bring. I think you need to...
Sorry, Jenny. I see a challenge.
The unique major events that you're planning to bring in, how can you guarantee that we're going to have high levels of participation? Obviously, because these are unique events. So how are you going to guarantee that if you put them on, that people are going to attend and that we're not going to be wasting money doing this?
Because, ladies and gentlemen, my manifesto have policies that link in with each other. They don't have broad sweeping statements that duck and dive around the actual job of the student union. They have an application which leads to people being integrated and incentivized to come into the student union and getting involved in events, getting involved in the network that we want to build at Nottingham Trent University, and getting the camaraderie of coming to the event and getting the incentive back on what you're doing.
Thank you.
I think touching on the point about the broadness of manifestos, obviously you can't go into too much detail because you've only got a page to kind of touch on what you're going to do. We are here for people to speak to us, so it's all well and good having very direct points on your manifesto, but the reason that some other candidates like myself and Fraser may have quite broad ideas is because obviously we don't have the time or, yeah. No, I have innovation. If you take a look at my manifesto, I also have my manifesto here at the front. If you would like to give that out or if you'd like to see it, and I think it is very innovative. So, yeah.
Was there a question in that?
I was just kind of touching on the point. He said that our manifestos were quite broad and that they were touching over points, and he said his were quite innovative and direct, and so I said this is why people may have done
I understood that you spoke. I just didn't know if there was a question at the end of it.
No, it was just a statement. Yeah.
Okay. Let's go for a question. See, gentleman at the front, and then I'll go with Chris. Promise. Gentleman again.
Yeah, sorry, I'm gonna come off this sleeping pods idea because I understand you've done your little bit of background about that. But my thing is in your manifesto, you do mention a lot of things about using the space in the SU. But the difficult thing about that is societies have already booked out some of the venues in the SU, such as myself, and we use it on a regular basis. And I do find that the SU tend to have certain things happen within here so that you can't use it at certain periods of time. So if you have events that obviously you're saying want to have a one-off, that's going to take a lot of organization on your behalf, which if you have all these 1,000 students when you do with communication in your services, I don't know if you'll have that time. Plus, as far as it goes for using the venue in the SU, the spaces in the back are only used by sports societies and stuff, and you won't be able to use it, which is why Funky Fresh have to use this space in here. So how do you expect to collaborate with other societies in order to find the space available to actually make some of your ideas happen?
Okay. Yeah, you've absolutely touched on the reason why I put this policy in place. The chance to show off, which is a part of my manifesto, is not based on the time in the SU in the daytime, your training time. I've seen you training here before. It's based on taking advantage of the peak times in the student union during the nights that we've already developed and the brands we've already developed. So Climax on a Saturday night is a really good brand that we've got, and we've got a lot of people coming. We could then offer that out to societies as a chance to perform. It's not the time and the space to train, it's a chance to perform at one of the venues, and you'll pitch those ideas in a Dragon's Den style method to the executive committee, who will then pick up on the ones that are better for the student body, the ones that are better performance value for a Saturday night, and you can take advantage of the brands we've already built.
Thank you. Okay, Chris, I'll come around and say. Yeah, sorry.
I'd like to recognize the third member of who's sitting up at the front and ask Fraser a question. You say in your manifesto that you want to bring more daytime activities to the SU. Do you have any examples of this?
Yeah. For, say, the City SU, I think pool tables would be a great idea. We've got them in the other campuses. During the day, why can't we have, say, sporting events, football matches? We've got Six Nations rugby happening. We've got pubs all around Nottingham which are packed during the weekends where the students are going, spending money there. Why not spend it in RSU?
Okay, I'll go Libby and then we'll go over. Just because.
Sorry, I don't mean to direct a question at you again, Ded. Do you not think apps have been around for a while now? Everyone loves them. Everyone's thought about them. Do you not think the union have already thought about that, and there's a reason it's not happened?
You've got a very good point there, and it's something that I could only know once I've been in that role and previous sort of focus groups have been discussed. However, all I can look at and all I can see is other unions and other universities that have utilised the app structure. I have got Staffordshire University's, Staffordshire University's union app on my phone. I've had a look at it and it works bloody good. It's got, I think it was over 19,000 downloads on the App Store, which is advertising for them as well on the App Store, a worldwide platform. It just seems to work. It seems to work well. It seems the university are obviously using that scheme of getting students involved to design it. It seems obvious.
Cheers, Jed. Simon.
This is Jeremiah. You say you want more halls parties in Refreshers Week. Do you not think that by the time Refreshers Week has come around, people have had a chance that want to go out, have already had a whole term to get together and do that sort of going out thing? Do you think that you should be targeting maybe the people in the halls that aren't so going out and that sort of motivated that way and that want to do something different rather than just a party and get drunk?
To be fair, the reason I feel that hall parties need to be introduced in Refreshers Week is because some people don't always get to make friends in Freshers Week and might not get the chance to throughout the whole first term. Giving them a hall party is giving them another chance to reconnect. And that's why I'm putting it on. I've seen hall parties being used very successfully in this Freshers Week, and so I don't see why during Refreshers Week they can't be successful. You're going to come back, so.
Do you want to build on your question? Go on. No. Mike.
Mike. Would you like mine?
All right. I think you just completely missed the point I was trying to make there. What I was trying to say is it's not necessarily people that want to go out and do these parties that you're meant to be targeting. It's the other people that don't want to go out and have the parties that maybe need targeting and need to have something to engage them as well, not just the people that want to have parties.
If you organised a hall party in the courtyard of Gill Street, for example, like they do with the barbecues in the summer, you don't have to be a party goer to attend that. Obviously, it's something I could look into where maybe the hall party could start in the late afternoon and not so late at night, so it's more of a chance for people to talk and not just get ready to go out.
I see a challenge from Jed. Oh, sorry. Go on, Fraser.
This is for Refreshers. You're planning for halls party outdoors. Do you not think the time of the year would be a bit of a problem there?
That is a very good point. Obviously, if it is cold, we have the student union, we have places that we can use to organise or put on parties. It can, if you feel the idea is weak, we can maybe change it to something like a day festival where people get to come in and reconnect.
Okay.
I think we're slightly missing a group of demographic people here, in the sense that the people that don't want to participate in the Ocean Wednesday bar crawl, perhaps the hall parties that they're going to put on, are the ones that have different music tastes to other people. The ones that are into more of the house scene or going to the rock music nights. And we need to find those people and see what they want. We need to speak to the minorities and their entertainment choices. The way we can do that is through the first page on the smartphone application of a specific tick box where you find out what your music choice is, where you want to go with your music choice, and where you want to go out in the city. You can use that then to target what clubs we're selling them to, what music they're into.
See challenge from Fraser.
Don't we already have those nights in place?
We have, we obviously have concentrated communications because it'd be idiotic not to. But to have it in the application formation, you'd be able to concentrate and say, listen, this group of this person has ticked that box on the front page of the application. The remainder then, apart from the major events such as the LDOT and the other big sort of things we do that are quite cumulative, we'll be able to focus the individual events, the affiliations with clubs around the city that offer things to them, more specifically.
Thank you. Okay, so we'll go over again. Let's try Heather. We'll go.
Hang on, I've got my question here. Okay, so this is for Jed, and it's about your app. Sorry, everyone. The app's getting really complicated. You've just said yourself that it has 15 ideas that you want to put on it. It seems to me, I'm not a tech wizard, but it seems to me it's going to be a very long-term thing. You're only going, if you win, you're only in this position for a year. What are you going to do in the short term for the Students' Union? And how are you going to guarantee that if it does take longer than a year to come into fruition, that whoever succeeds you is going to continue with it as a good idea?
Yeah, good point. To make it the best it can be, it probably would take a while. I don't think it would take much longer than a year, though, in terms of development. I think the main quote I'm going with here is necessity is the start of invention. It is a necessary thing. I've given you so many points so far that the reasons why this would benefit your life as part of this union. It would improve the communication and the representation of when you feel like you need to get back to the union as much as when they need to push notifications at you. It's necessary. How long it takes is a cost-benefit analysis of how necessary it is. If it's worth it, it's worth the investment and the time to put into getting it happening.
Okay, I'll go to the... Oh.
I wanted to know what you were going to do in the short term while the app isn't there. What are you going to do for the Students' Union while you're waiting for it to come to fruition?
Obviously, social media is like the mid-ground between a flyer, if you like, and the application. It's what we've got at the minute. But I think in terms of pulling people to the social media site, we can go through the same channels of what we're doing with the incentive. We need to have like a mini app, but on the Facebook. We need to create a brand that people have a specific, if they're into that specific type or genre of music, we need to target that person and say, listen, you can earn incentives by fulfilling the affiliation and going to one of the venues that is up to you. We need to reward people for going to the social media sites instead of spamming them with the same crap every day of the week. We need to give them a reason to get there, to get involved.
Sorry, that was really loud. Can I go for the gentleman in the body warmer? Straight, that's it.
Jeremiah, you've made so many spelling mistakes within your manifesto. Doesn't that show that you don't have the dedication to forming your own manifesto, and thus your manifesto is not fit for purpose?
To be fair, Guy in the gilet, this is the first time I've done this, and obviously it was a rush to get it in, which is why there were grammatical errors in that manifesto. Could I have one of my revised manifestos, please? That's my new manifesto with all the points on there. You can check it and make sure it makes sense. It's also on social networking, so if you want to check my cover photo, you can also check it on there.
Sorry, Jeremiah. Challenge that.
Without this turning into QVC and me trying to sell anything more of Jeremiah's, I think it's ample to say that we had a deadline to fulfill the manifesto by, same way you'll have a deadline in this role as in the position of services. You'll have to fulfill things by a certain date, and I don't think if you can fulfill them by the date, I don't think you should be in the role in the first place.
Do you want to respond, Jeremiah? You can if you want.
I have nothing to respond to that, to be fair.
That's cool. Let's go to the centre. Let's go right at the back, in the middle. About a second to, yeah, mix it up.
Oh, hi. You mentioned about sort of having hall parties during refreshers. I'm the trans officer, so I represent like one of the biggest minorities at NTU. And from my experience, hall parties create massive amounts of discrimination against trans people. I personally was homeless before I came to university, and I finally had a home for the first time in about a year. Like a steady home, and I had people coming to my flat, encouraging freshers to come to my flat, who then discriminated against me because I couldn't sleep and I needed sleep to go to university and do logistical stuff. So how can you prevent this sort of discrimination, which will come about because of hall parties? How do you plan on removing that? Thank you.
Good question. I think it all goes down to the context of the hall party. It would obviously, what I'm aiming to do is try to kind of recreate what was done in the halls within Gill Street South, Gill Street, and some of the other big six, which was just to get to get someone in to play music and obviously entice people down, to get people talking. In regards to the discrimination,
Time. Sorry, Jeremiah. Oh, this is difficult. Let's go to Libby. I'll go for you next.
This is for all of you. Quite a lot of you have put all about money and spending money, chucking it in all the time. Are you aware that as a member on the trustees board, you are financially liable for a number of years after you leave? So how many years are you liable for after you leave?
I'm not aware of this, but with my ideas, before I put my ideas on my manifesto, I did a bit of asking around to work out whether or not they were feasible, and they are feasible. So I don't think I'd leave that much of a debt, to be honest, that I'd have to be accounted for.
I honestly couldn't answer that. I would have to look into that again. All I could say is I believe every point on my manifesto is achievable, it's realistic, unlike certain other points that have been made today.
I'm going to be honest and just say I saw Livy say how long it takes for she just told Kay, so 5 years I'm guessing. However, I did understand that you are liable through trust law. I think my emphasis is on creativity and innovation. I know the app does cost a lot of money and it is quite a prevalent thing, but the remainder of it isn't on spending money and just being really Keynesianist. It's about, you know, being creative. For, the next campaign, the next few week coming up is going to show how we can do this on such a small budget. And I think people should look out at how campaigns have spent their money and how they're trying to make their campaign go further, because that's what we've got to do with the student union money.
Thank you. Let's come down to the front to... Oh, man, I missed you. Yeah.
Hi there. I'm a big part of geek culture. It's somewhat away from the mainstream, and on the whole, we're not really big drinkers, so we don't necessarily get involved in a lot of big club nights, as we like kind of smaller things. Do you have anything in mind for people who don't want big, big nights out or big parties?
I myself, I got one night a week, and that's mainly because I'm social secretary for American football. It's in our contract. I've got to take my club out, help them out. My ideas for sort of like daytime activities, maybe bringing games consoles into. We've got screens up here. They have them in Clifton already, even though most of the students there don't even know about it. We can have the box office hiring out their controllers, like they could hire out the pool cues for the snooker tables. Yeah. So that's my design.
I can sort of completely emphasise I played Warhammer, so there is a bit of a thing going there. First of all, I think I'm sorry to go back to the application again, but on it there's a societies hub, which is part of the app, which people will be able to communicate between their societies with. So you'll be able to raise the sort of the give it a go theme within it. I'm guaranteed that not sort of 1 in 10 people will know about the society that you're in, and that some of them might want to get involved in it. I think that would be useful for getting people on board. Secondly, it'll improve the communication, so it might build a bit more of a community, and you might, you know, eventually choose.
Sorry, Jeremiah.
One of the main points on my manifesto is to get people integrated into the student community better. I've got an idea called Team Trent. And on Team Trent, I want to get representatives in from new to sport, the social sex from societies, and just anyone that really wants to help in talking to people that aren't really involved with drinking and stuff, and helping them to get into more activities and different societies like yours.
Time. Okay, I know you're not going to like me for saying this, but unfortunately I'm going to have to stop questions there. I know everyone has got some really good things that they want to say, but we need to still go over to Clifton to give everyone a bit more of a grilling. I've already gone over by half an hour, so I need to cut back. So I'm really, really sorry, but can I have a round of applause for all the candidates, because that's been a tough session. And we're heading over to Clifton to add to it even more. So thank you ever so much for coming to the Q&A, and speak to you soon.